What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Outside the Arena with Mac and Griff. I'm Griffin Senek, joined by my co-host Mac Rommel. And guys, the Buccaneers did it. They defeated Max. Every single game I believe he picked against them, and
Yep.
every single game they won. So, Buccaneers fans, I don't know if there's any watching, but you can thank Mac for picking against your guys. He had them losing in the first round, and now they're Super Bowl champs. So
I think it was the jinx.
I think it was. I really do.
Maybe I should have rooted for him, and it would have turned out otherwise.
Chiefs would have won by like 50. Yeah, Eric Fisher would have magically appeared on the field. But
Yeah.
that is where we are going to start today. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. Obviously, 31-9, Tampa Bay gets the win. So, Mac, I'm going to start with you here. Just your thoughts on the game, the keys to why the Buccaneers were so successful, and just anything really. What were your thoughts on the game?
I mean, the Buccaneers, they absolutely dominated the Kansas City Chiefs. And last week in our episode, when we were predicting the Super Bowl, we said the keys to the game were going to be winning in the trenches, especially with the Kansas City Chiefs and their depleted offensive line. Both tackles out. They slid their guards out to tackle. So it was really a mismatch everywhere. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were electrifying. Only sending 4 every single play, at most no blitzes, and they gave Patrick Mahomes hell. I believe this stat was almost 500 yards running away, just trying to avoid the pressure. So that's pretty outstanding. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, a great game for really what happened. Receivers dropping passes, and I'll stick with the Chiefs for now and say why they didn't win. Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball 49 times with that offensive line. You see what's happening. He's getting destroyed out there, has no time. Receivers are dropping balls. Tyreek Hill getting doubled the entire game. I mean, that was clearly a huge part of this game plan. And Tyreek Hill is a big key to the success in that original win in the regular season for the Chiefs. This year, they doubled him, took him out of the game plan. I mean, he still had 73 yards, but it's better than over 100, over 110 like he's been having this entire playoffs. And then Travis Kelce, he's doing his thing. Kind of consistent as you would expect, but you're looking there, 49 pass attempts. And then something we've been kind of struck upon and kept our eyes on this entire postseason was the run. Look at that. The most amount of carries that this team had was 9 by Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had 64 yards and 7.1 yards per carry. And they don't switch their game plan to the run with how well he was playing. Yeah, that kind of does it for them. I mean, you're giving the Patrick Mahomes the ball when he's under pressure, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is clearly having a game, and you're not giving him the ball. And that's clearly why the Chiefs lost offensively. But the Bucs, I mean, offensively, they did exactly what they had to do. Tom Brady, of course, coming in clutch in the Super Bowl. And our boy, Gronk, we had to choose him in the pick'em party last week for getting the catch. He had a big game, 2 touchdowns. You can never doubt him in the Super Bowl. And then you're looking at the run. Once again, the team who runs the ball wins the games. Leonard Fournette had his big touchdown run. Ronald Jones was a big contributor, both over 5 yards per carry. And then defensive for the Bucs. Do I really even need to talk about it? They got pressure with 4 guys, and they only had 2 sacks. But, I mean, if Patrick Mahomes was Tom Brady, if Tom Brady was there again, that kind of pressure, I mean, they would have had at least 15 sacks, to say the least. But this defense was flying, and you could clearly see the sheer speed that they play with, and they really controlled the Chiefs offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I think you put it great. And the thing I, was going to focus on is, the idea of the games being won in the trenches. And that's been the case this postseason. We've seen that in most games. There's really been a few exceptions, other than really the Buffalo Bills. They were there for their 2 games, not dominating with the run, but they were able to get it done. But yeah, like you said, the Bucs, they carried the ball 28 times for, 150 yards. And, that's kind of what you do here. Tom Brady, he was great. He had all the time in the world. And the defense, did their thing, obviously, again, to the quarterback, like you said, playing more of a zone and more drop back, not letting up the big plays, which is key. And, you look at the stats, it's really interesting. I mean, if someone told us before the game that, here Mike Evans would have 1 catch for 30 yards and Chris Godwin would have 2 for 9, we would say the Bucs got smoked in this case.
Yeah.
But, big contributors, Gronk, he just shines in these moments. Leonard Fournette played great. I mean, he had 46 reception yards and 4 catches too. Cameron Brate was good. AB, had some good moments in there, like the touchdown. But like you said, the pressure was just too much for Pat Mahomes to handle. He was just constantly scrambling, constantly just having to throw the ball up. In the end, it was just, the final few throws of the game was really him just throwing it up and hoping someone was there. And I mean, outside of Kelsey and Hill, and I mean, a lot of these yards were even in garbage time. There was no one else that was contributing. Like we were saying, look out
Mhm.
for like a big game from like a McCole Hardman, a Demarcus Robinson, Sammy Watkins. One of these guys was due to go off, and they just didn't. Sammy Watkins last year had a great Super Bowl. This time he had 1 for 13. So that's kind of the difference for me here. Their defense was just mediocre. It really didn't put any pressure on. They had 1 sack, no turnovers. And like we said last week, I said the key to the game is going to be winning the turnover battle for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and they did that easily here. 2-0, I guess was it. I feel like the Chiefs might have had a fumble too. I don't know though, but they won the turnover battle, and that's been the key for this team. And just the Chiefs, they just look, all over. Besides Pat Mahomes, really, they just look dead. The
Yep.
punter, he was dropping punts. He was muffing and just not having a good game. The defense didn't play good. Chris Jones was a non-factor. Butker was good. He made all his kicks, but it just was not the Chiefs' night. Tampa Bay got it done, and props to them, man. A lot of people doubted
Yep.
them, like yourself, and they really showed up. They really got it together, and that defense in the end really was what carried that team in the end. Even though the offense was so spectacular, the defense was what put them in the spots to win this game. So great job of the Tampa Bay Bucks. Sad to see the NFL season ending, but there's sure a
Yep.
lot that's going to go on this offseason. And if you don't have anything more to say on that, we can kind of move right into that if you want.
Let's do it. I mean, I guess the only thing I want to say is, I mean, we all hated Tom Brady when he was on the Patriots, but I'm liking this new Tampa Bay Tom
Yeah,
Brady. That parade, throwing the Lombardi Trophy across. I mean, he's having a good time. He's having a good time, and I'm starting to change my view on Tom Brady.
yeah, no, as a Jets fan, I hate him, but it's just honestly, it was not that hard to cheer for him this year. You just kind of felt good. He was trying to prove against Belichick, and Belichick, I feel like I just kind of hate now. But yeah, he's having fun. You see him at the parade and stuff. Like I like what you said there. I agree. I don't think they got a lot of guys to root for on this team. Leonard Fournette, Gronk, Evans, Godwin. I mean, AB, he's had his ups and downs, and obviously he's got a lot of legal stuff that is not excusable. But it was good to see him get a ring and a touchdown in the Super Bowl after everything he's gone through as well. So that's kind of my take on that. But the big news that came out a few days after, I think it was yesterday, it came out. J.J. Watt released by the Houston
Hey,
Texans.
yeah.
I mean, he was there for years. He's won 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. I believe it was 8
Yep.
Pro Bowls or something along those lines. A leader, Walter Payton Man of the Year winner, a superstar really. And he got cut. He has to be released. What are your thoughts on this, Mac? And also, obviously, I have to ask, what team do you think he'll end up on? Or what, Jesus, what team do you think he'll end up on, or what team do you like him best on potentially per se?
Yep. I mean, this was kind of expected after that week 16, I believe it was. I mean, you could clearly see how frustrated he was, and he was even mad for the fans that they had to go through the season and everything that was going on. But this was kind of expected for me, but what I'd really be looking at, and we'll probably get into in a little bit, is Deshaun Watson. I mean, if I was Deshaun, I'd be furious that JJ Watt's just getting released, not even traded, and he's still there in his situation. But JJ Watt, a great player. He had, I believe, 101 sacks, something like that, in his 10-year career. He had 5 something Pro Bowls. He said like 8, something like that. But recently, he's had injury problems, but he's still a good player. He had 5 sacks this year. He played in all 16 games, and I think that's going to be a key. But right now, I don't want to steal their team, but I think I have to. We got to agree on something here. I think he'll be going to the Steelers, like you said. He has to join his brothers and a great defensive line and defense in general. They'll be losing Bud Dupree. He texted me that. I kind of forgot about that. But he would be a great player to come fill in for Bud Dupree. I mean, although he's an end and Dupree's a linebacker, they still get the job done rushing, and he'll be there with his brother going after quarterback. So I think that'll be a great story. And for someone late in his career, I think he'll be more focused on the family perspective than the playing.
Yeah, I think he wants to win right now. He's done so much for Houston, no one can deny him that, and it's right for him to want out. The Texans did the right thing. And we'll touch on it in the Deshaun thing, but this isn't going to help Deshaun. I don't think he'll ever take a snap for the Texans again. No matter what the Texans say, I think they know that as well. But in terms of where he might go, like I said, I think it's likely that the Steelers are an option. But thinking about it, weirdly enough, I do think the Cleveland Browns are in a very good
That would have been
position
my
to
other
land
choice.
him.
That would have been my other
Yeah,
choice.
I think you look at it, you get to play your brothers twice a year, so that you have that. You're still going to be in contact with them, be able to play them and see them, and not live too far away from each other. They're a team that's in a position to win. I mean, they just won against the Steelers. Steelers, honestly, they're going to lose a lot of guys this offseason. I mean, you're going to lose Juju Smith, Schuster. No matter what we think of him, they do need him, because I don't think that receiving core with Claypool and Deontay Johnson is going to be enough. They're going to lose Dupree, like we said. I mean, they got a bunch of issues. They got guys coming off torn ACLs like Devin Bush. Who knows what he's going to be? Big Ben looks terrible. Pouncey just retired. Steelers are kind of in a bad spot to me. So I feel like J.J. Watt, the smart move. You go to the guy who, just won Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski. He's a great coach. They need help on that left end. Olivier Vernon is going to be done. He's going to be hitting free agency. They're not going to bring him back. You get to play against on the other side of Myles Garrett. I mean, that would be incredible to see. The team's going to be good. The offense is going to be good. Odell's coming back. They have plenty of money, so money's not going to be an issue here. I think the Cleveland Browns, weirdly enough, make a lot of sense. And I could really see, obviously, I think he wants to play with his brothers, but I do at the same time think that, hey, the Browns are in a better position, in my opinion, to win. And I think that, he'll still going to play his brothers, same division. I think it makes a lot of sense for him to go to Cleveland. So for me, I think Cleveland or Pittsburgh are the top two teams for me that I see as likely for him to go to.
Yep, 100%. And Deshaun, I don't know if you want to transition into that now, but he'll be furious, and we're going to have to see what the Texans are going to be doing from here on out at the quarterback situation, because right now it's pretty evident Deshaun is going to be out of there, whether it's a trade, release, or whatever it is, or even if he is there.
They won't release him. They're not going to release him.
Just any option. But so Deshaun will be out, and I don't know if you want to get right into it with your prediction for him.
Yeah. So look, I think the Texans here are going to be in a spot. I don't think they care about his list. I mean, obviously he can block a trade, but at the end of the day, I think if they tell him this is the team you're going to, or we're not trading you, he's going to accept it. And I think weirdly enough, and it's going to tie into a guy we're going to also talk about, I think the New York Jets are going to end up. I just think they're in too good a spot to land Deshaun Watson. They can give the Houston Texans Sam Darnold, who's still young. He's got a lot to prove. So you're getting a young quarterback. You can also get that number 2 pick. So you can either grab a quarterback there if you want to have with Darnold, or I think Darnold would be in the deal. I think that makes sense. I think they'd want him just to have someone that they at least could know that they could throw in there. But you get the number 2 pick. Maybe you draft a guy like a Penny Sewell or something like that. You want O tackle or something like that. I don't know what you could do. You can do a lot of things with that pick. And the Jets have draft capital. They also have that Seahawks pick. They have the Seahawks pick next year. They have their pick next year. They've got, third round, multiple thirds, I think, a second. They got a ton of picks. So the Jets have plenty of picks to trade. They can give you a young quarterback. I don't know if they'd be willing to part with Quinnen Williams. It'd be interesting to see if the Texans want Quinnen Williams in the deal. I feel like they could use him on that D line, especially without J.J. Watt now. Quinnen Williams could be an interesting piece for them. I'm not sure the Jets' reluctantness. That's not it. I don't know if I think I botched that, but I don't know what their reluctancy would be to trade him. But I do think the New York Jets are in the best spot, even though, we've heard so many reports at this point. We've heard Jets, we've heard Niners, we've heard Dolphins. But, I'm looking at the Niners. I don't think they're in a good spot with draft capital to land them. The Dolphins, I mean, yes, they have 2 of it. I don't think 2 is worth more than Darnold at this point, to be honest. So I'm going to say he goes to the Jets. I just think it makes too much sense.
All right. So for me, this was between 2 teams, and I realistically think it's going to be between these 2 teams. One of them, the Jets, and the other one, the Dolphins. And this because of 2 reasons. The Texans, they really haven't shown any interest of wanting to trade Deshaun. It's going to come to that point. But once they get to that point, they're going to be strict. They're going to want a lot for him. And 2 teams are going to be able to do that. The Jets, as you said, with all the draft capital, especially after that Jamal Adams trade. And the other team is the Dolphins. I mean, they have that 3rd overall pick from the Texans. So they'll be getting their own original pick back. And along with their other first round.
Totally forgot they had that pick.
Yeah. So you're getting 2 first round picks this year. You can get another first next year, and then you can get another quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa. I almost botched that, but you could hope who you hope would develop into something great, like he was expected to be coming out of Alabama. He'll be going there with the receiver. This is Deshaun Watson. He'll be going there, and he would have some good receivers and tight end Mike Gesicki and a great coach. I think him and Brian Flores would connect greatly. And then especially adding on to a defense that is Super Bowl caliber, I believe. I think they really have a chance to make the Super Bowl, especially if they make this Deshaun trade. It'll be a lot to give up, but the Jets and the Dolphins are the 2 teams I think are realistically going to be the teams who trade for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. And, maybe Will Fuller goes with Deshaun. Will Fuller's going to be a free agent. Maybe, they had a great connection. I don't know what the deal is. He's got, his PED thing, but we'll see. Both those teams definitely need receiver help with Deshaun Watson. That's going to have to be a priority for both of them. So I
Yep.
already kind of gave mine on where I think Darnold's going to go. So I'll flip this one to you, obviously. Where do you think Sam Darnold will end up if the Jets don't trade for Deshaun Watson and send them to Houston?
Yep, I'm not going to be boring with this one. I mean, Darnold, I honestly could see him staying there if they don't trade for Deshaun, but I'll have some fun and I'll go with the team who seems to be interested in every single quarterback that's available, and that's the Washington football team. I mean, a young quarterback who could just go in there, fill in for a year or two while you try and find your guy. He'll be there with Terry McLaurin. He'll be an instant upgrade over Taylor Heineke. I mean, he showed some hope, but is he going to be this future? Is he going to be a starter in this league? I'm not sure. He seems more of a backup. Alex Smith, I'm not sure what his future is going to hold. Is he going to be a starter or a backup? We're going to have to see. He may be a guy that could kind of fill in, but Sam Darnold's a guy who could start. He may not be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He may be in the 20s, 25 range of top quarterbacks, but he'll be there and he'll be able to contribute instantly with players like Terry McLaurin. And hopefully in the draft, you're going to be able to get some good receivers. Like in the first round, if you don't have to give up that pick, you go with a player like Kadarius Toney, a nice versatile weapon to help develop Sam Darnold and maybe even make him your franchise quarterback of the future. So we're gonna have to see. But I think the football team could be an interesting spot for Sam Darnold.
I think that's a interesting pick. I do have the football team acquiring a quarterback. So we're going to talk about three more quarterbacks today: Carson Wentz, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr. Which one do you want to start with, Mac?
Uh, you know what? Let's start with probably the easiest person, the person who'll probably stay, and this is Russell Wilson.
Yeah, so I don't think Russ is going anywhere. I'd highly doubt this trade happens, but we'll have some fun. I'm going to send Russell Wilson to the Washington football team. I think they're going to acquire a quarterback. Um, in terms of what the football team can give, they could probably part with one of those D linemen, maybe like a Montez Sweat. That D line is stacked. They have a ton of guys. They could even trade like an Ioannidis or maybe a Darren Payne, someone like that. They got a lot of guys there. So I think they could part with the one. They could give a bunch of first round picks. They could give you a running back. I mean, they don't need running backs. I guess that's going to work. They could give, they got a lot of options with what they could give. I think draft would
Yep.
be huge, but just to have fun with it. I really don't think Russ is getting traded, so really shouldn't be taken too seriously. But I think Washington would be in a spot to trade for him. I think help the CX on the D line, maybe some other spots as well, and give your first round pick for the next 3 years, your second round pick for the next 2 years, and just have fun with it.
Yep, completely agree with you. That would be an interesting spot. I mean, the quarterbacks in the NFC East, if that happened, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, two of the better quarterbacks in the league. I'm not even sure. Do you want to even get into Dak Prescott eventually down the line after both these quarterbacks?
I mean, we could. I think he'll still end up in Dallas, but I don't know if you have a
Yep.
differing opinion.
Yep. But Russell Wilson, as you said, he'll probably stay. He had some fun with it, so I'll just kind of stick with the bland thing. I think he's going to stay a Seahawk. But I forgot who made the comments. They think it was Russell Wilson trying to force his way out of Seattle in the easiest way. I don't remember who said that. It was.
I think it was like Brandon Marshall or something like that.
Yeah. But I don't see it like that. I think he just really wants to help. I mean, he's been there his entire career. I don't see the Seahawks wanting to trade him. I mean, he's less like. I think the Seahawks will make a harder push to keep Russell Wilson there than the Houston Texans are going to be doing with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt, I think, in my mind that he's going to stay there. But Washington football team could be an interesting pick if he does end up somehow getting traded.
Yeah, I think Russ will be a Seahawk for life, but someone that is probably leaving in the next month or so. Carson Wentz. Yeah, he's getting traded. Where do you think he'll end up? I feel like it's kind of between two teams, so I don't know if you'll stick with your pick. We did this a few weeks ago, but what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's the two teams, and right now I'm just gonna go with the Colts. I mean, it makes too much sense. Frank Reich, the guy who developed him, led him towards his MVP form and his MVP caliber season. I think he's a great fit there. And if there's one guy that can turn Carson Wentz's career around, it's gonna be Frank Reich. And he's going to a team that has a great offensive line, and injury concerns are probably one of the main things that each team who is looking to trade for him is kind of focused on. Will he be healthy and will they be able to protect him? And I think the one offensive line in the league that will be able to protect him and help build around him, and that's going to be the Colts with their great offensive line, arguably the best in the league. He'll be going to a team who has T.Y. Hilton, who knows if he's going to be there, but a young core with players like Michael Pittman, and then you got Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, a great offensive line, as I said, a bunch of young guys that could help him develop and get back to his MVP caliber form.
Yeah, I'm going Colts too. Like you said, there were those Bears rumors that a deal was like finalized, but now that that's kind of died down, I don't think he's going to the Bears. I think that was kind of maybe a deal fell through or something like that. I don't know what happened. False reporting. Colts make too much sense. They can give a first round pick. They're not going to be afraid to do that if it comes down to that, or they'll just end up with the second. But yeah, it makes too much sense. And with Wentz, to me, the Bears make no sense. Wentz has been proven to need a lot of protection, and when he has it, like he did in that Super Bowl year with all those guys when they were all healthy, he was great. He was an MVP type player. So the Colts make a lot of sense. They'll be able to give him that protection, and the weapons are kind of similar when you think about it to the Eagles Super Bowl wise. And I'm sure they'll be able to maybe snag someone in the draft or snag someone in free agency as well to add. So to me, Colts make too much sense there. Maybe the Bears make a move. I don't know. I see them going to the Colts.
Yep. And I guess our next guy and final guy, this is Derek Carr. I mean, there's been more speculation that Marcus Mariota will be the one who is traded, but Derek Carr is definitely going to be the guy that teams are looking to trade for. And that the Raiders will be getting calls for Derek Carr more so than Marcus Mariota. So for Derek Carr, where do you have him going?
I don't know if they do it, but I got to give them a quarterback today, and that's going to be the Carolina Panthers. We've heard them really trying to upgrade at quarterback. I think Derek Carr is definitely an upgrade over Teddy B. And yeah, I think, if this team's looking for a quarterback, Derek Carr, proven leader, he can do well. And, he really hasn't had the weapons that he would have in Carolina with DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. Curtis Samuel might be a free agent. I'm not too sure, but Christian McCaffrey, obviously. I think Derek Carr would really flourish in that offense. And you're not going to have to give up as much as like a Deshaun Watson per se. You can probably give Teddy Bridgewater and something else back to Vegas. So I think Panthers could be a really interesting team here to trade for him. Maybe football team too. I think they could be in on Derek Carr as well. It seems like they're in on Mariota. They're in on everyone though. So not too much to say there, but yeah. I'll give them to Carolina. Derek Carr to Carolina.
All right, I'm going to go a bit different here, and maybe a team that people won't be thinking of. And let's have some fun, and let's say the Steelers. How about the Steelers? Big Ben.
That's interesting.
Who knows how much longer he has? I mean, Derek Carr will probably be giving up a first, maybe a little bit more, but you go there. Big Ben will be the starter for a year or two, but you'd have him sit behind Big Ben, try and get his potential back and get him back to the level he was in 2016, where he was an MVP candidate. He was great, and he's a player who's been consistent throughout his career. He may not be a great quarterback right now, but he's shown signs of being a great quarterback, as I said, with that 2016 season, and he's a consistent player who could get the job done. And I think the Steelers would be a great team who could help him develop and hopefully get back to his 2016 form. You're going to have a defense that'll still probably be good without the free agents. And then offensively, you're going to be losing some guys, but Derek Carr, by the time he would be starting, I think they would have built around him already. Excuse me. That was a bit of a flubber of words.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually didn't think Steelers, it looks like Big Ben will come back, and I don't know if they'll have the money to trade for a QB if he does, but hey, I like the fit, and I think it makes sense. So why not?
Why not?
All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about, I know it's a little bit of a short episode this week, but we're going to work on the future weeks, and we're going to have some cool content, especially with the start of MLB, which is what we're talking about now. We're going to talk some New York Mets for the fun of it. Yeah, why not? We're going to talk a little bit, not too long, about the Mets, but big rumors swirling around them. Obviously, they missed out on Trevor Bauer. We covered that last week, but they're looking to do something. It seems like they might still try and make a big move. And in terms of what that could be, will it be a third base? It really looks like it would be at third base potentially. So they've been linked to Chris Bryant, Matt Chapman, which I really doubt is going to happen, but I'll touch on that. Seth Lugo now just goes down for a good portion of the season. Likely he's not going to be able to throw a baseball for 6 weeks, which basically takes him to opening day without throwing. So they need relief help. They're still looking for starters. I don't know what you're thinking. Center field even. Where do you think the Mets might end up finishing the offseason? Maybe a few moves, few potential signings that they could be looking at.
Yep. As I said, we kind of talked before. Really, the Mets, they've made so many moves this offseason, and they've been great. They hired Steve Cohen as their new owner. They got Lindor in the trade. But this team right now, they don't need much. But I think center field and third base is some areas where they can improve. And third base right now is what seems more likely to happen. Chris Bryant, as you said, he's the guy that they're looking at, and I think that he may be there may be a better chance of him being traded to the Mets than there is Matt Chapman. The Cubs, they have already dealt away two players this offseason, so it would be no surprise if they deal away Chris Bryant. I mean, he may have been coming off of a disappointing season, but he won the NL MVP in 2016. He had 3 All-Star performances, and he would be a great player to add to the Mets roster. And then Matt Chapman, the 27-year-old third baseman, he's also drawn interest for the Mets. Of course, as you said, he won the Gold Glove twice and is a 2-time top 10 MVP finisher. This guy is a great guy on defense, great offensively, and always gets on base. So you can't really go wrong either way. But I think Chris Bryant will be the more likely move for the Mets if they do decide to go third base or even center field.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think Matt Chapman's happening. The A's are going to value him too highly, and the Mets have said they don't want to part with top 7 prospects. And to get Matt Chapman, you're going to have to do that. I think a Bryant move is really interesting, and I think what really interests me is if they could package Chris Bryant and Kyle Hendricks together. Mets still need starting pitching help. Kyle Hendricks has been one of the most consistent pitchers in baseball over the past, several seasons. He's really always in the low threes with the ERA, which is huge. And he's signed through a few years, kind of like a Carlos Carrasco kind of deal. He's not too old. He's only like 31 years old. So I think that could be a really nice addition. And willing to give up maybe like a JD Davis back and maybe some pitching prospects and stuff like that. I agree. Chris Bryant coming off a down year. This is the time to buy on him. If you wait to the deadline, obviously you expect it to get lower the price, but if he has a great year and he's an MVP caliber player, it's going to cost a lot. So now's the time to pounce on him. I think take the risk, but they do need bullpen help. I think that needs to be prioritized as well right now. So I think they need to look at a guy like a Trevor Rosenthal. Bring back Justin Wilson as well. They still need another lefty arm. They obviously really only have Aaron Loop out there who they just signed. So bring back Justin Wilson. He's proved he can pitch in New York. He's been solid. And then also maybe go out and get a guy like Trevor Rosenthal. He's throwing neat and, plug him in the bullpen. He'll be good until Lugo comes back. And when Lugo comes back, maybe you look to move Familia, Batanza, something like that. But Lugo's injury makes it hard for you now to really go out and trade a Jeurys Familia because even though he's not the most consistent, you still need guys out there now. So we'll see what happens. I think that's likely. If they don't get like Kyle Hendricks in a trade, expect them to go after a James Paxton-esque, maybe Jake Odorizzi, Taijuan Walker type player in the rotation. I think they'll land 1 or 2 more guys for the rotation in terms of depth. Go after someone in the bullpen. I don't think they'll go after center field unless the DH comes back. I think they're done there after signing Almora. And then third base, maybe look for a trade. Chris Bryant or maybe a Eugenio Suarez as well, but I don't see that likely. I see Chris Bryant as the most likely move.
Yep, 100% center field. Center field.
I saw you just take it in for a moment. And you were like, "Yeah,
yeah. We're going in. I'm taking it in. I have to gain all this knowledge from you. I got to pay attention. So I may need a few seconds and a few moments to take it all in. But yep, Mets in a great position to succeed this year and have a great chance at even making a World Series run. Just a few more upgrades, a few more moves, and they could very well be in the mix with some of those top teams like the Dodgers or even the Yankees.
Yep, no doubt." And I don't know if you want to wrap this one up. I don't got too much more else to say. I know it's a short one, but
Yep.
yeah, it's kind of all I got.
I think this one may run up the viewers. A short one.
Short ones do better. Yeah.
They may come back. They may come back. So, everyone, as always, we appreciate you guys for watching this week's episode of Outside the Arena. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you guys want to see next. Make sure to follow us on our Instagrams. My Instagram is mac.rommel. Griffin's Instagram is
Griffin Senek.
And our podcast, not podcast, Instagram is Outside the Arena Podcast. Make sure to follow us there. You could DM us. That's probably the easiest place to contact and reach us. And also go subscribe to our other YouTube channel, OTA Clips. We're going to be posting shorter things, kind of breaking news type things over there. So if you don't have the time to watch these full episodes, that may be the place for you guys to go and check out some new breaking news stories. And as always, we hope you stay safe, and we will see you guys next week on Outside the Arena.